All right, we're jumping UFC lightweight Chase Hoover, who's coming off a big first round win. Chase, how's it going, man?
Great. I mean, as you can see, I'm not too banged up or anything. So good win and happy to be home for sure.
Yeah, it's 3 days after the fight. Doesn't even look like you got into one. Like, I know when we talked before, you thought it was going to be a lot of those scrambles and just work around the fence. So, like, is that kind of how, like, is that fight kind of played exactly how you thought it would be then?
I I guess in that sense for sure. But honestly, I thought we'd stand up a lot more. I hit him with one shot on the feet, and then he shot in immediately. So I thought we were going to stand up more, and I thought. I mean, I obviously thought the fight was going to go a little longer. I thought we were more evenly matched up on the ground than ended up being. So.
Oh, were you surprised when he got on top or anything, and you were like kind of threatening a bit of submissions? Like he didn't think about just kind of resetting, standing up a bit, or like were you surprised you staying on the ground with you for that long?
No, I honestly I mean, like I said, like I really expected a lot of stand up in this fight. Kind of like the something like a Usman Covington type fight where I thought he wouldn't necessarily want to grapple against me as much, and I thought we were going to be banging it out really on the feet. So I was really preparing a lot for that. But I thought if he was on the ground, he'd probably try to more like wrestler, like base out, stall, keep that good top pressure, which he did a little bit, but he was opening up for more like hard strikes than I was expecting, which, obviously it's not fun to catch those punches, but when the guy sits up to try and hit the hard shots are really what sets up my scrambles. And I mean, I think I showed that pretty well on Saturday.
He did land that one good shot when you're on the ground. The commentators seem to think you were hurt from that. Like, were you hurt all or like from that one?
Uh, it's more like you get like a little flash of light, but it was like he hit my skull, like the front of my skull, which is, that's if you're getting rocked by getting hit on the forehead, like you got bigger issues. So no, it wasn't. I wasn't rocked for sure, but I mean, it wasn't fun. And I told him after the fight, I was like, "That's a good shot." Like he hit it hard. But again, like this is the part of your skull that's like the thickest. It's kind of more meant to take the punishment than the rest of it. So it wasn't really too bad. That was, and having a fight. Oh, Charles, somebody's hanging out. All right. Having a fight where that's the worst thing I end up taking is good night, especially at this level.
And then you got a hold of his back. You sunk in that choke pretty quickly. Did you realize like right away it was in tighter? Did you think you might have like it might have been able to get out of it?
Because I had the shoulder cupped, and I was really expecting him to start fighting that hand. Um, but I think he mentioned it too. He grabbed the wrong one. He tried to grab my free hand. He tried to grab my free hand instead. So I just sunk it. I like broke that grip and cupped the back of the head and sunk it in. Um, I wasn't expecting to get the finish that quick. And when I locked it up and I started squeezing, I kind of thought to myself, and I do this every time if I get a finish. I'm like, is it really like, is this it? Like, is that going to happen and this is going to be over? And then, happened to be the right one. So, yeah, I mean, I was happy. I was definitely surprised. I thought the fight was going to go closer to the 15 than it was the first five. So
A bit surprised you didn't get a bonus there because I thought it was a pretty good finish. I know the UFC's like had a lot of hype in you and stuff. Like I feel like them getting a bonus would be like a nice little push for you as well.
yeah, that's what I was hoping for. But I don't know. I hadn't watched the card. I'm warming up. I don't like necessarily watching other people get their skulls bashed in when I'm, getting ready to walk out there. So I heard there was a lot of great finishes. I assume they were going to do the 4 performance bonuses instead of the 2 in the fight of the night. But it's all good. I still make a good amount of money. It is always nice to see some of the newer guys with a couple fights.
Mhm.
Like that fella from Indonesia that made his debut. I believe Indonesia. Hopefully I'm not getting that wrong. But it's cool to see these guys that would go from making 12 and 12 to now they get the extra 50 G's, especially in like people starting out in the company. So it's nice to see that a little bit. And I'm doing all right financially, so I'm not sweating it. So yeah, win's
I,
a win.
You had a pretty big spot on the card. That's what we were joking about before. It's like, how kind of happy with you? Everything kind of played out. Like, you're getting a lot of attention this week for you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that that fight really deserved that level of attention. And I think it showed. I think it was a great fight. It's cool to be finally moving forward in the cards and finally kind of building this momentum here. My whole career before Contender, I spent at 155, even amateur. That was my Contender series was my very first time ever cutting down to 145. And I feel like all my best fights had been at 155 before when I wasn't cutting a ton of weight. So, it's nice to get that momentum going and hopefully stay higher up on the cards and keep getting these, bigger name fights. And yeah.
Do you think you're just like starting to really come into your own? Like at lightweight, I think both your fights are your two best performances maybe in the UFC you have. And like I just think like at lightweight you are looking a lot better. And like now, even like 24, like half the guys in the UFC probably don't even get there till they're like late 20s. Like, do you still think you're just really starting to like kind of figure the UFC out and everything right now?
Yeah, I mean that was my 8th fight. I definitely am like I'm comfortable with all this now. Like it's especially at the apex. Like I have such a routine. I know exactly how the fight day is going to go, exactly how the fight week's going to go. I'm used to that level of pressure. I'm getting this high level experience against again like these high level guys. Like Jordan's no slouch. I finished him quicker than Patty did, and he trains. He's at Extreme Couture right now with world champions Sean Strickland, Francis Ngannou, who just went the distance with one of the best boxers of all time. So these guys are coming out of legit camps, and I'm over here just in a little old Enumclaw, still in the mix. So I think it's proven again that I'm coming into my own and that I deserve this spot on the roster that I'm taking up. So yeah.
I know we talked about it before the fight, but now the fight has happened. Like, and I know you even sent that message to Jordan on Twitter. Like, was it hard to fight him, or like someone that you know and are friendly with? Like, did that play any role in the fight?
A little bit. I think it was. I don't know. It was. It honestly kind of takes some of the pressure off. I think in some ways. I think it was kind of harder to get up and get like the adrenaline rush that I needed a little bit, but it just took a little longer. Like once you get to the cage and you're like, well, shit, this is gonna happen. Like it's a cage fight. Like we're not buddies right now. The actual, getting to the competition part felt very like laid back. I didn't feel super pressured because it's like I know Jordan. I know he's a nice guy. I respect him either way. I know he's tough, that type of thing. I don't know. It's one of those things where when we're in there competing, like again, it's a dog eat dog world. It's very cutthroat. And I'm out here trying to provide. So is he. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's nice to respect the guy beforehand, but you still just kind of got to put that stuff away and really let the competition side of it show.
They obviously only have 3 more events this year, so like take the year off. Or like when is kind of that time frame? Like you hoping like that first quarter, like or because I know you've been taking these breaks between fights, and also we talked about before is how you want to start being a bit more active, especially at lightweights. Like when would that ideal time frame be for you?
Yeah, I was actually just talking to my coach this morning. I think hopefully like April or March or April would be great, honestly. And then I could still kind of, again, as long as I'm healthy, as long as I'm winning these fights, try to bang out 3 fights this year instead of 2. Keep striking while the iron's hot, build up some momentum. This next fight will be the 3rd one on my contract. So, if I get 3 wins, that'll be should be a nice pay bump when we renegotiate. Good momentum here at lightweight. And yeah, keep stacking the money, keep trying to build that momentum. And yeah, I'm trying to, especially now when I don't have to cut as much weight, I'm trying to keep banging these fights out.
After seeing like how you've been fighting at lightweight, like do you regret not moving up sooner? Or, like are you kind of happy with how the beginning of your UFC career played out then?
I think I don't know. I think obviously there was some physical issues at 45, like with the weight cut, but there's also like mental stuff I had to get over. Like even if I'd moved up to lightweight earlier, I don't know that I would have had a much better go of it. Like it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to be in UFC, especially young. You got all these people telling you how great you are, all these people telling you how terrible you are. And it's adjusting to that level of the pressure. And, you see these guys like, and this was really my motivation, like going into the last couple fights, is, Max Holloway, 3-3 in his first 6 UFC fights. Charles Oliveira, 5-5 in his first 10. So it's just knowing that, some of the greatest names in the sport started off a little rockier. They had to adjust to the level. Obviously, both of those guys probably fought some tougher guys than I did. Holloway fighting, Poirier and Connor and stuff early in his career. But still, like, it just shows that the pressure is a huge part of it. And I think a lot of people discount that.
I know you didn't fight that level, but like fighting Alexis Harris in your second UFC
Yeah.
fight is still pretty crazy. Like when he fought you, he would have had like what, like almost like probably like 18 something UFC fights at that point.
I wanted to say he had 21. That might have been his 21st or 22nd UFC fight.
Uh,
So he'd had more fights in UFC than I'd had years of being alive at that point. So,
yeah.
it was definitely I don't know, it was a jump up in competition, but UFC wanted to test me out. I think it was he'd lost to Crone in his first fight at 45.
Mhm.
So I got a little cocky. I was like, all right, maybe we can grapple him up. But, I wasn't where Crone Gracie was at that point. And, it's an adjustment period. I wasn't as good that night as he is. Yeah, I mean, that's another dude where it's like I respected him before and I respect him after. I see him around now still, and I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Type of thing. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and I'm happy for the journey so far, and it's all paid off so far.
Uh, for you, like still being 24, like do you really care who are like kind of getting close to these rankings? Like, do you care who's next or like fighting closer? Is it more just kind of like just getting more busy and just like kind of building up that resume a bit and like just kind of getting more experience?
I think more of the second, like building the resume, building the experience. I'm not too concerned with rankings, especially with how deep 55 is. There's what 60 or 80 lightweights, I think, on the roster. I'd have to check, but
And you could go like match up anyone basically in the top 40, and like anyone could beat anyone really on like from that
yeah,
like 40 to 15 range. Like any single one of those guys could beat anyone on any given night.
yeah, 100%. And I think it's right now it's kind of trying to be smart and take maybe like more of an O'Malley approach, where he was calling his shots. He's taking the smart matchups. There's no reason for me to be like, okay, I'm a tough guy here. I want to fight Fizayev or something. Like, I don't need that yet. I need the time to keep developing, keep maturing. I'd love to fight as many of the jiu-jitsu or more grappler skewing guys on the roster as I could. Again, while I'm building my skill set, building my resume, and just getting ready for that next step up. Getting towards the rankings, but hopefully still a couple years away from that.
Ideal year next year for you is like 3 fights then probably.
Yeah, 100%. If I could do March, April, and then July or August, and then maybe close to November, December, something like that. Bang out 3. Couple months in between. Stay busy, stay active. Hopefully, stay knock on wood, uninjured. Keep stacking that money and keep stacking the wins.
Just final thing, like what's the rest of the year look like for you? Like, do you stay out west, or like is this the time when you don't have a fight book that you kind of bounce around those different gyms and kind of get different looks?
Um, I don't know. We'll see. I'd like to start doing more seminar stuff. We'll see
Yeah.
about that. But just kind of staying home for the holidays.
No grappling fights because you had the 2 last year at the end of the year. Like I don't even know if they're doing that one again at the end of the year. Good Fury.
They actually just hit me up about it, so we're gonna see what names they offered. Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where it was great to do last year, especially. Trying to bounce back off of a loss, stay competing, get my head out of that funk a little bit. But this year I don't necessarily need it. I'm coming off a 2-0 this year, trying to keep that good momentum. But no, if there's a fun grappling match, I'll take it 100%. I don't really care the weight, but we'll see.
Well, Chase, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.